So today I'm gonna demonstrate a project that I built for cybersecurity use case for detecting user behavior and anomalies on a platform called Salesforce. Um, so the way it works is I'm aggregating all the logs from the Salesforce platform using my project and sending it to this open source log management software called Greylogs, which has a nice interface to aggregate and analyze log data. Here, the logs are in the form of all the user behavior from the Salesforce using their feature called event log files. So first I'm going to show a little bit of the code here. I'm using the parse library here for argument processing. It is also helpful in a way that if we just learn the if we just run the program, it would just say that what all arguments are required. So that was pretty helpful in that case. Um, these are pretty much bare bones processing of the arguments, and this is where my code comes in basically, which essentially um, takes the arguments of the environment whose logs are reprocessing. The logs are consumed from the OAuth credentials passed here in the .env files. These are the credentials for my Salesforce login. Basically, it logs into the Salesforce, consumes all the logs, and this is where basically all the massaging happens. The log files are essentially in a CSV file, so those CSV files are kind of massaged into a JSON file and Greylog into a Greylog log format, which is a proprietary format. Um, so it converts into a Greylog log format, and then it sends all the data um, using a library that I built called UDP Connect. UDP Connect basically sends the messages, the log messages over WebSocket to the defined IP address and the port that my Greylog application is listening or running on. Basically, it's accepting all the log file of that port. Um, Without further ado, I would just jump into how this program works. So basically, first we log into Salesforce using the trust credential and create some events. There is a 24-hour latency in this. It's just because how the user provides, or just how the user just how the log files work in Salesforce. There's a 24 hours latency in that. Hopefully there will be some kind of logs available already, but I'm just creating some here just for the sake of demonstration. Um, Again, there are logs already in the system. I'm just creating one for maybe tomorrow, you see. So I'm going to just log here. I just created some events. Basically, all the events that happen in the application are logged in the Salesforce and we can retrieve that using the application that I built here. So here's my program. If we look at this program, using log parser, it says we have to parse some argument. We can do /help, and basically it tells us, gives us some guide on how we can use it. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just run this program in the retrieve logs program, and I'm going to parse it, basically ask it to retrieve the files from the environment called orgname1. So it's Python, then the org name, and we are using -s flag. Basically, the default behavior of the program is it just downloads the log files in a CSV format and does nothing. I've extended this program basically to send it to the Greylog server. So it's done using -s and then the IP address of the server, which I should have it here. So it's basically Python, the org name, -s, IP address of the server, colon port name. So my Graylog application is basically listening the events on this port name, and um, I guess I can do -d for debug just for the sake of this demo. And if I hit enter, um, it's gonna log into the Salesforce, and these are the log files. Basically, it's pulling from the Salesforce instance, and while that is happening, it's gonna once that happens, it's gonna send it to our Graylog server. So while that's happening, I'm gonna log into my Graylog instance, which is at intrusion detection IO port 9000. Um, the user is tester, password test user one, and once we log in, we'll see a stream called Salesforce. Um, and I'm going to put it to update in every second, and here we can start seeing all the messages as they are parsed. So yeah, so it already sent all the messages here. If we log in, we can see all the messages that just arrived. It's very important to either have it update every second or search in the last 5 minutes. If you are instructor, you might want to go all the way to past 30 days. If for some reason you don't get the logs or there are no events. Anyways, once you do that, you can see all the messages that have been sent. So this is from basically today as of time of speaking, and we have all these events that happened, and it has sent us all the events to the Graylog server. So what we can do with this data basically is, if I go to the event type field, so there's an event type field, and if I do quick values, it shows all the basically the events that have happened in this platform. So imagine, it's an enterprise software. We can see the URIs people have clicked on, what pages they're visiting, the login events, the reports that they have generated. So in my case, I'm particularly interested in the login events of the user. So what I can do is I can click on this, and once it goes into the search criteria, hit the magnifying glass again, it shows all the login events. Once I have, these are all the message entry for all the login events. So basically what we're seeing here is the user, basically the user ID, which user uh, logged in, from which city. So I'm in Delhi right now, I'm traveling in India. So it shows where I logged in from basically. And I can basically generate um, a world map. So if I click on client IP geolocation, if I click on the world map, I can see where all parts of the world the users are logging from. So here I'm currently in India at the time of speaking, so all these login events are happening here. But imagine, you might want to see if the users are logging outside of US. If there's a compromised account, ideally if all the users supposed to be in US, you should see within these dots within US and nothing outside it. We can create alerts this way, which can show basically the if there's a anomaly that happened outside the basically if there's any criteria that matches in the log, it can fire up an alert or an email as well. But essentially, what I'm trying to show here is we have this nice unified view of all the actions that are happening in our Salesforce platform, where we can do reporting on, basically analyze where people are logging in from, how much reports they're exporting, and it's been a it actually is a good cybersecurity use case. I'll leave the notes in my README file. Thanks for listening. I hope it makes sense. Thank you very much.